Hi, this is Donna Taggert, the dietitian for Department of Aging and Human Services. Happy January. Did any of you make a resolution to lose weight? Well, a lot of us do, and sometimes how we do it is to start cutting out sugars. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that today. The Dietary Guidelines for Americans, published every 5 years, the last one was 2020, recommends limiting calories from added sugars to no more than 10% each day. So if you follow a typical 2,000 calorie day diet, that would be 200 calories from added sugars, or 12 teaspoons. Now, the American Heart Association has gotten even stricter, recommending no more than 6 teaspoons a day for women and 9 for men because of the link to heart disease with added sugars. So an average American, 15 teaspoons a day, that's a lot of added sugar, amounts to 60 pounds of sugar per year. So how do you figure out how much added sugar? Well, if it's got a label, you're in luck. Now, I know you're not going to be able to see this, but I'll just tell you, on the nutrition facts label, you go down about halfway to total carbohydrate. Underneath that, there'll be fiber, there'll be sugars, and then at the very bottom, this is fairly recent, it said includes X amount of added sugars. Now, this particular cereal has included 9 grams of added sugar, and you're like, well, what does that mean? Well, 4 grams of added sugar is 1 teaspoon. So this 9 divided by 2, so it's about 2 teaspoons of added sugar in serving size as a cup. Now say you do a 2-cup serving size, you're going to double that. That's 4 teaspoons. If you're a woman, you're 6 teaspoons a day. You haven't gotten away from the breakfast table and you've used up maybe 4 teaspoons of your allotment for the day. So what foods have added sugars? And by the way, added sugar refers to what has been put there either by yourself or by the manufacturer. It is not the natural sugar that is found in like fruits and dairy and stuff like that. So what foods have added sugar? Soda, energy drinks, candy, fruit drinks, cakes, cookies, pies, ice cream, desserts, sweet rolls, donuts. Yikes. Stop. So how do we figure out how much of this added sugar are we getting from all these foods? You can go to the USDA site, supertracker.usda.gov, and you can type in what you're eating, and it will tell you how much you're eating or getting of added sugars. A lot of other stuff it'll tell you too, but if you're interested to see how far off you are, and guaranteed most of us are getting more than that 6 or 9 teaspoons a day, which you think, oh, that sounds like a lot, but it's in a lot of things. So after you've figured out how much you're getting, here's some healthy things you can do, maybe just making some little shifts to substituting added sugar items, things high in added sugar, to things that are healthier. So I'm going to give you some suggestions. Don't try everything at once. Pick one, do it for a couple weeks, make it a habit, then come back, pick something else. Okay, number 1, try fruit for dessert. All those things I listed, a lot of desserts. So why not try fruit? Maybe plain yogurt with fruit. You're getting the benefit of no added sugar, but you're also getting the benefit from the dairy from the yogurt, potassium, magnesium, calcium, protein, and all those antioxidants and things from the fruits. Number 2, change your sugary cereals. This sounded like a pretty healthy cereal, this kashi, but again, it had quite a bit of added sugar to it. So go look for ones, there are some out there that have 0 added sugar in them, or at least get ones that are as low as possible. Number 3, try drinking water or low-fat milk with your meals instead of sweet tea and sodas. A can of soda, a 12-ounce can, 10 teaspoons of added sugar. Some have even more. Here's a tricky one. Watch your sauces. Believe it or not, a tablespoon of ketchup has 1 teaspoon of added sugar, just a tablespoon of ketchup. So look at the labels of your sauces and see what, maybe you can cut back, cut out. Next thing is try smaller portions. If there's something you just love and you don't want to give it up, which I'm not saying you have to, maybe share it. Go, out to a restaurant, share the desserts with somebody else. The studies have shown that very first taste is what satisfies our brain the most, and after that we're just doing it because we love it and it tastes good, but we don't really need it for our brain. Brain's like, yep, you're good. Also trying smaller portions of like the sodas. Instead of the big can, go with the little mini soda cans. That can help too. Number 6, watch out for healthy foods. Granola bars, trail mixes often have a lot of added sugar in them. So look at the labels, find ones that don't have a lot, or make your own. Trail mix, a lot of trail mixes have M&Ms in it. Well, yeah, they're really tasty, but that's a lot of added sugar. You could just do nuts and seeds in it and be happy with that. Then comes the last thing, which is kind of the focus of what my topic is for this month, is substituting non-sugar substitutes for those added sugars. Sometimes they're called non-nutritive sweeteners, artificial sweeteners. Basically now they're called non-sugar sweeteners, or NSS. So NSS is a sweetening agent that has a higher sweetening intensity and a lower calorie than sugar. Some are synthetic, some are from plants and herbs. The reason they exist is so people can eat or drink sweet things without the calories from sugar. So despite that, the effectiveness of using NSSs to lose weight, avoid weight gain, or achieve other health benefits are really unproven. Some studies have shown those who drank diet sodas became more obese than the counterparts that weren't drinking the diet sodas. Another one had shown that people who drank diet sodas had a higher rate of metabolic syndrome that leads to type 2 diabetes. Why? They're not sure. Speculation is that something causes, because they're so intensely sweet, like a lot of them are 200, 400 times as sweet as sugar, it alternates our taste perceptions of sugar and causes us to crave sweets. Perhaps there's something changing in our guts. They think nutrients are absorbed differently in our gut because of it. Or, now I think this makes a lot of sense because I've witnessed this. People use non-sugar substitutes to justify other higher caloric foods. So picture somebody with a Big Mac and French fries with a diet soda. And so that often might be it. But they don't really know. So the World Health Organization has recommended recently that NSSs not be used because they do not help in the long-term benefit of controlling body fat. This is based on review of several studies that suggest that not only do they not help lower body fat, but continued consumption could increase the risk of type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and mortality in adults. So let's kind of stop a minute and see what these NSSs are. The FDA has approved about 5 of them as safe. What they do, they go through a review process, short and long-term toxicity, carcinogenicity, they reproduce toxicity results, a lot of big terms there, but basically they're checking for safety. And then they come up what they call an ADI, acceptable daily intake. And generally that is pretty high. Most people don't consume, that amount. But anyway, they come up with that. And then the ones they have approved, we know them. Aspartame, which is equal, asulfame, K is sweet one. You see that in a lot of sodas. Saccharin, sweet and low. That's been around since 1878. Interesting fact, discovered by Johns Hopkins University. So been around for a while. Then there's sucralose, which is Splenda. And then there is a grassless, generally recognized as safe. That's where you find stevia, monk fruit, allulose, which is made naturally from figs and raisins. And like monk fruit, pretty new, but it's been around for years, thousands of years in China. Stevia also been used for a long time. They don't use the whole leaf. They use parts of the leaf. And because of that, stevia can be sometimes a little bit bitter, and they will often combine with erythritol. Now, erythritol is a sugar alcohol, and it's made the news recently, being linked to an increased risk of heart disease, or heart-related events, heart attack, stroke. And what they found is they really need to do more research because most of the people they studied with this already had the heart-related issues. So they weren't quite sure, was it something else? So they really need to get some people who don't have those heart-related issues and do the study again. So my recommendation is if you have heart-related issues, you probably would want to avoid erythritol just in case. And stevia, some stevia products have it in it. For instance, this packet of stevia from Splenda has 2 grams of erythritol in it. Stevia in the raw does not. So again, you got to look at labels, see how much is. That being said, 2 grams isn't that much if you're doing 1 or 2 packets a day. The study that showed all these things that are happening with it use about 20 grams of erythritol. That's a lot. But you say, well, who would have that much? But some of the keto-friendly products have a lot of erythritol in it, and so you want to really read your labels and be careful. So like I said, erythritol is a sugar alcohol. They often occur naturally or from fermented foods. There's xylitol. So anything with an OL, xylitol, mannitol, sorbitol are all sugar alcohols. They're not sugars, they're not alcohol, they're really polyols. They're kind of a carbohydrate our body doesn't digest really good, and so less calories because it doesn't just digest it all, but a lot of it stays in your gut, and then guess what? If there's a lot in there, it pulls a lot of water into your gut. You can get diarrhea, you can get digestive issues. That can come from sugar alcohols. Xylitol is found in sugar-free gum. It's good for our teeth, not good for dogs, very toxic to dogs. So check labels for that. Then some people are like, well, I don't want to use any of these non-sugar sweeteners, so I'm going to use something healthier than sugar, but natural. And so that's like maple syrup, because it comes from the tree, the honey little bees. Agave nectar is from the agave plant in Mexico. The thing is, to our bodies, there's still added sugars. Whether it's honey, maple syrup, any of those things are still used by the body and counted in those teaspoons that are recommended. Some of them actually even have more calories per teaspoon than sugar. Sugar is 16 calories per teaspoon. Agave nectar is 20. Maple syrup is 17. Honey is 21 calories per teaspoon. So they're not necessarily low calorie, but people perceive them as healthier. But honestly, the good stuff in honey, you'd have to have like a cup of honey to really benefit from all those antioxidants. You're better off just eating an apple or a piece of fruit or something like that. The good thing too with non-nutritive sweeteners or non-sugar sweeteners is they do not affect the blood sugar. So you have diabetes, glycemic index is 0. Sugar's glycemic index is 65, whereas honey is 50. Maple syrup is 54. So again, those things really have about the same effect on the blood sugars. So, in conclusion, if you want to decrease your added sugars, try to pick one of those suggestions I said at the beginning. Work on it for a little while, remembering that added sugars are not just sugar, but because sugar is from sugar cane and sugar beets, it's natural too, but all those other things are added sugars. You can eventually train your taste buds to not crave as much sugar. And if you're eating a lot of healthier type foods, you don't even have time to eat some of those other things. But it does take time. And remembering those non-sugar substitutes tend to be super, super sweet. So you're actually, almost craving sugars more because of that. So if your New Year's resolution is to decrease weight, focus on the healthy foods. I've said it many times. Lots of fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts, seeds, legumes, low-fat proteins, low-fat dairy. Eat all that stuff. You probably don't have time to worry about all those other things I mentioned about. And it's not impossible. Also at the end, I put a PDF. It's from the sugar.org website. Great thing about sweeteners. Lists all the caloric sweeteners I mentioned, sugar, agave, honey, whatever, down to the non-caloric ones that I've mentioned. Lots of information about the calories, glycemic index, and how they're produced. Very interesting read. So if you're interested in that, it will be at the end of this. So I will see you next month, and I hope you have a good January, and see you later. Bye.